All right, let's get into it. Welcome. I hope that you are having a great day. Thank you for joining us for our overview of the Get on the Same Money Page with Your Partner course. If you are already enrolled in the course, excellent. If you are just checking the course out, also excellent. You're in the right place to manage expectations. Going to have you out of here in about 20, less than 30 minutes. So let's get started. A long time ago, a traveler came upon a work site and he noticed that there were three stonecutters working away. He was curious as to what they were doing. So the traveler approached the first stonecutter and he said, "Excuse me, sir, can I ask you what you're doing?" First man looked up at him angrily. He said, "What does it look like I'm doing? I've got the worst job in the entire country. All I do all day long is cut these rocks. My hands hurt, my back hurts, my head hurts, everything hurts." Traveler said, "Oh, I'm so sorry for your trouble." And he moved on to the second stonecutter and said, "Excuse me, sir, can I ask you what you're doing?" This man looked up. He was very focused. He said, "I'm working to become the best stonecutter in the entire country." Travis said, "Well, I certainly think that is an incredibly admirable goal, and I wish you luck in achieving that." As he moved on to the third stonecutter, he thought that he heard the man whispering, or rather whistling a happy tune. And sure enough, as he got closer, that was exactly what that man was doing. He said, "Excuse me, sir, I hate to bother you. Can I ask you what you're doing?" This man looked up with a gleam in his eye. He said, "I'm building a cathedral." So all three men doing essentially the same thing, but having a completely different experience. The lesson here, the moral of the story is how you look at something makes all the difference. Whether you are cutting stones in a quarry or you are talking to your spouse, your partner about your financial situation, your financial goals, objectives, concerns, dreams, all those things, the way that you are viewing it, your perspective, how you're looking at it plays such a massive and important role. Now, not only are way too many of us not on the same page, we are in different books. We're standing on top of volumes of different books. I do lots of speaking and presenting on financial matters. And for a couple of years, I would get these questions. They say, "Hey, how do I get on the same money page as my significant other?" And for the longest time, I had just never really thought about it. So I didn't have a good answer to the question. That motivated me to spend a good amount of time, energy, and thought on how can I help others get on the same money page as their partners, as their significant others, because money plays such a massively important role in our lives. So thinking that it's going to happen on its own, it's not going to happen on its own. And the other thing about money is that it's so time sensitive. So the longer we wait, the harder it is to really accomplish our financial goals and objectives. So how can we really get on the same page? One of the things that makes it so hard is that we're all going through different patterns. We're all going through the patterns of our life. We have momentum and we are following the predictable patterns. I know for me, I follow pretty predictable patterns with everything in my life. The way that I get up, what time I wake up, what I do when I wake up, how I get ready for work, how I go to bed, all of these things. So I bet you have that as well. When we're talking about then coming together in a relationship, the challenge is we both have these patterns. We both have different perspectives on money and finance and how we should be investing and spending and saving and all these things. So it's hard enough for me to figure out what mine are, let alone then to work with somebody else to figure out how do we bring these things together and how do we optimize our finances so that we are moving in the same direction and we're not making mistakes and screwing things up, because that's what we don't want. So we want to get on the same page, get in the same book, and then actually get on that literal and figurative same page. So about me, I used to have a beard. Now I don't anymore. I've been at this for literally 20 years. I've worked for great big financial companies. Today I own and operate a financial firm. I am the founder of Money Alignment Academy, honored to have been named to Investopedia's list, the top 100 financial advisors, many years in a row. I am also a husband and a dad. There is another little bit of an older picture. It almost looks like I've dressed up for Halloween there, but this is my wife, Emily. And like everybody else, we're not just naturally on the same money page. We come from different backgrounds, as most people do, and different lived experiences. different childhood experiences with money and different adult experiences with money, all these things. And so it took us time to hash everything out. And so not only is it my professional experience that's helped me to develop the content for this course, but it's also my personal experience and to actually do it successfully. It's my goal to help you and your significant other to get on the same money page, to agree with how you should be operating your personal finances, your household finances, and really every aspect of your household finances. So there's a couple of different ways to consume this material. You can consume it as a 7-day sprint, which is just a condensed, we're going to get all this done over the course of the next 7 days. You can absolutely do that. And you can just take it as you have time. And they say, you know what, that makes sense to just get it done, but it's going to take us longer than 7 days to get it done. We're just not able to commit to that. Well, then by all means, you have access to the course for the rest of your life, and all the updates and everything else. As soon as you enroll in the course, you'll always have access to it. So why do this? Why not just leave well enough alone? Because whenever we start talking about difficult things like money, some of it's emotionally charged. Maybe you're not comfortable talking about money. Maybe your partner is not comfortable talking about money. So doing so is going to ruffle feathers. Maybe there's things you're embarrassed of. Maybe you have shame around money. We all do. That's the dirty little secret, but it is an absolute reality that we all have some kind of shame around money. We all have mistakes that we've made. I know that I've made a ton of financial mistakes. Fortunately, I've also made a lot of great mistakes, but you need to get through, have the difficult conversations, interrogate the reality, have the conversations, sometimes arguments, rip that Band-Aid off and get moving in the right direction. Because again, life is very long, but it's not long enough where you can just leave well enough alone. You need to have these conversations. You need to address the elephant in the room, all of these things, all the metaphors and analogies, because these problems just will not take care of themselves. And again, money is time sensitive. I want you to be happy. I want you and your significant other, your partner, husband, wife, whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriend, whatever. I want you to be happy. I want you to have the peace of mind that you can only find from knowing that your financial affairs are in order. That is a very real thing. It does require patience. For those of you who don't know, that's Axl Rose, lead singer of a band called Guns N' Roses. Look up patience. We all need just a little patience, especially when you're going to be going through this and talking about money. So here are the key ideas. We need to be talking about our past history with money. We need to get really clear on what our current state of financial literacy is, what our current desires are, and then we want to be talking about where it is we want to go. It's one of the really cool things about human beings. It's our ability to create the future that we want, to think about what it is that you want your future life to look like, and then to work towards actually making that happen so we can create our realities. But again, just will not happen on its own. We need to be intentional. We need to work hard and do it. So explore your past, get clear on where you are today, talk about where you're going together, and clear the air on anything, any problems that might be there. Again, it is very, 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 very human to have problems and to have shame and issues around money. The only way we get past these things is to talk about them. So within the course, there are 7 key areas and modules that we are going to be going over and talking about. I'm going to go through the 7 right now. So got to get clear on your goals and your values as an individual, but then more importantly, your shared goals and values. This is the starting point for any conversation that is worth having. Obviously, we're talking about money, but this is going to be very beneficial for every aspect of your relationship, because you're going to be talking about the 6 key areas that are most important to you in your life. So in terms of your goals, we're talking about family, we're talking community, we're talking about your career and your finances, your well-being, your personal development, and your peace of mind. So those are the 6 key areas that you'll work through individually and then together. And then your values, because you need to know what you stand for, what you stand against. Values, that is really literally the lens through which you see the world. It's your perspective that will help you make decisions on how you will allocate your money, what you'll spend money on, what you won't spend money on, all of those important things. So such an important exercise to be going through. You need to get a clear sense of your current situation. I want to make sure that I didn't skip a slide here. I did not. So we need to know our current situation. This is where we interrogate our reality. Going to have the tough conversations about what's going on. How are we interacting with money, debt, understanding, past behaviors, current behaviors, all of these things. Going to peel the layers back and make sure that we're getting on the same page. Your perspective on money. We talked about the 3 stone cutters and how you look at something makes all the difference. And you may be coming from a perspective of abundance where you and your family had plenty of money growing up, or the opposite. You maybe didn't have enough money at all. There was never enough money to go around. Money was scarce. Maybe it was a cause of stress and anxiety, whatever it might be. Talk about first principles. First principles are really what is true. And I like to, especially when we're talking about emotionally charged things, we're talking about lived experiences and perspective, we need to have agreement on what's really true. A couple of examples about first principles in regard to your personal finances are stay out of debt. So if you're in credit card debt, it's better to not be in credit card debt. We don't want to run out of money. We need to have financial security, then pursue financial prosperity. So all the first principles that we talk about are 100% true and agreed upon, but we just need to have the conversation about them and make sure that you and your significant other are on the same page and how we can get on the same page. And then there's all assumptions and systems that we're working under. Your assumptions or your beliefs might be that real estate is the best way to save money. Your partner might think that cryptocurrency is the best way to save and invest money. You may think that entrepreneurship is the best path to wealth. And I'm agnostic on all of these things. I just want you to have the conversation and explore what your perspective, what you believe to be true about money, and what assumptions that you currently have, and really thinking through them so that we can, again, get rowing in the same direction. It's really important to get really clear on the difference between what a want is and what a need is. It goes into our budgeting. And while budgeting is not one of the most popular conversations that I have with people, it's probably one of the most important things. It is such a fundamental thing. So we need to, if we're not currently maintaining a household budget, if you've got individual budgets, are we having one together? All of those kinds of conversations. We need to get really good at the fundamentals, and then we need to make any changes. If how you're currently interacting with money is not leading you to success and will not get you where you ultimately want to go long term, well, then we need to talk about making changes. And those are real grown-up conversations, and we are going to have them. Cash flow, talk about fundamental things. We need to really have a good, clear understanding of how much money we have coming in and how much money we have going out. Well, that's easy, that's obvious. Well, it is, but it's not. Far too few of us really know how much money that we're spending on a consistent monthly basis, how much money we have coming in. And this also is a conversation that's deeper because we're going to talk about net worth. So really knowing what the value of our assets are, and then really knowing how much debt we actually have. So it's all about getting clear and understanding and knowing the current state of affairs. And then moving forward as well, risk is so misunderstood, more often ignored than it is misunderstood. We have a tendency, some of us, to be risk adverse. And then on the other hand, we are way too okay with risk. So sometimes we have partners that are way too risky, and then the other partner is really risk adverse. And that is a really common cause of conflict. So really coming together and conducting a proper assessment of risk, working to better understand risk, and then understanding one another. And okay, maybe you're not as comfortable with risk as I am, but can we move a little closer together? I'm not interested in completely changing your acceptable level of risk. However, I am interested in working towards more of a compromise, or at least getting on the same page again with how it is that we are comfortable interacting with risk. And then getting organized. It's really hard going to that whole pattern thing to break negative patterns. It's hard to change human behavior. That's why we're here. We want to change, break negative patterns, break negative habits, break vicious cycles, create virtuous cycles, create good patterns, create new habits. And we do that by putting in place systems and processes. I'm a massive proponent of self-discipline, personal responsibility, but we start with systems, and then systems and processes, and then we'll get to self-discipline. Then we'll get to the personal responsibility piece. But first, it's how do we really set ourselves up for success? And again, we're doing this with 2 people, so it's even harder. So what do we need to be doing to really position ourselves for success? So that's what this module gets to. Now, is this really hard? Am I trying to make you an MBA? Am I trying to make you a CFA? No, I'm not. I'm interested in helping you take and apply. It's 1 + 1 = 2. There's no trigonometry, no geometry, no algebra. It is very, very straightforward. That is the way that I like to take and put information to work. And so that's the way that I teach people to take and apply information. So nothing that I'm going to go over requires you to be good with money. Wherever you're at, I can help you get to where you want to go. So how do you eat an elephant? Well, number one, I don't want you to eat an elephant. That's a terrible thing. But how do you eat an elephant? You take one bite at a time, right? So how do we solve or overcome big challenges, big obstacles, big problems? Small increments, small increments, small increments. A lot of the time, if a problem is so big, it's like, you know what, later, I'll procrastinate on that. I'm going to kick the can down the road. I'm not going to address the elephant in the room as it would be, but that's not what I'm interested in. So that's the reason I've structured it in these seven different modules. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but what worth having is easy. Very few things. These problems will not solve themselves. You're not automatically going to get on the same page one day. This will give you everything that you need to take it one step at a time and to get to where you want to go. So how much does this cost? It's $100. So I wanted that to be, is $100 a lot of money? No, it's not. It's also not a small amount of money, but that's how much it costs, $100. How do I know if it'll work for me? If you do it, if you go through the course, if you complete the modules, it will work for you. You will benefit from it. How long will it take? It could take you 7 days. 7 days from now, you could be done with this course, or it could take you a lot longer. Do you need to be good with money? No. What if you get stuck and can't figure something out? It's one of my favorite things in the world to hear from my students, to hear from our students. So you have my email address. We have something called office hours, which you can have access to just on a monthly basis, an opportunity to pop in and live ask questions and have them answered. So we've got plenty of resources. We also have an exclusive community, which you'll have access to, and you'll be able to go in and ask questions that way as well. So here's how it works, is that you and your partner will each complete these modules. You could do them together, but I encourage you to go through individually. So you can both be doing them at the same time, and then you'll come together, and for lack of a better term, compare notes on everything, and then work through everything. I think that you'll find that some things you'll be able to do together right away, and other things you'll be able to want your more important to work through on your own, and then to come together, and then to actually do this physically. Here is, I think, one of the keys to this is that it's really important that you give one another your 100% undivided attention. We talked about patience earlier. We talked about the emotion associated with money. Therefore, you need to be fully prepared to be 100% present, to be respectful, to be a good listener, to be curious, to work through this. If you do those things, again, if you are present, listening, curious, forgiving, all of these things, accepting, then I think you'll have a wonderful experience with this. Just remember that your 100% undivided attention is one of the greatest gifts that you can give somebody. Now imagine 2 weeks from now, a month from now, having all of your financial concerns, putting them all on the table. Any problems that you have, any irritations, having the air cleared, having your goals, you and your partner having the same goals, having had a conversation about values and knowing what your shared values are, getting your budget taken care of, understanding your cash flow, just understanding where it is that you are going, not only individually, but also together. I think that that is profound peace of mind. And I know that if you commit to this, you go through it, do it together, that is what you will have. You will have a far greater sense of peace of mind. And I know how valuable that is. So enroll now, get involved with the program. Additional offer that we have is our Academy coaching program, and that's $500 a year. So the course is $100 a year. You can access our Academy coaching program for $500 a year. Then you get access to all 19 of our courses. You get access to our office hours. You also get access to all of our monthly workshops, which are live virtual. And with the Academy coaching program, you also get a one-on-one coaching session every year. And so not only can you get access to all the courses, but you and your significant other can also get a one-on-one coaching. So that's $500 a year. So just food for thought, but excited to, or hope to have you involved. I think it can greatly benefit you. And you definitely got this. So enroll now, and I look forward to tracking your progress. Thanks a lot.